Hey guys, more art director perspectives today. So in my last video, we discussed answers from 7 different art directors from a wide variety of entertainment industry companies so that artists looking to launch a career would have a good idea what art directors want and what they don't want. But there was one question that I asked the art directors at the end of the questionnaire. AI and general art industry outlook. Do you currently use AI image generators in production? Please explain why or why not. So I was kind of scared to ask this. These are my clients. I depend upon these individuals and their opinion of me for my livelihood. So this was definitely like kind of a cringe and send moment for me. But the answers were really interesting. As much as I would rather just avoid this dark cloud topic and just keep drawing, keep the good vibes flowing, I think we need to do this. We need to keep one eye on this concept without letting it drown us. So let's check out what art directors think about AI, and I'll share some of my own experiences with this in the industry in the 2-ish years since it first became a thing. And it's all more hopeful than you might be expecting, so stick around. Okay, here we go. 7 anonymous art directors from 7 different companies. Indie studios all the way to massive AAA companies. So theoretically, we're getting a pretty fair sample of the industry as a whole. All right, art director 1. AI is a unique tool and issue for our time. I've used it for ideation and brainstorming, but I believe that without the human component, art is soulless. I have no problem if AI is used as a tool, but not as a substitute for the artist themselves. I love that answer. Art director 2. We do not use AI-generated artwork in products. There are obvious ethical reasons that we are all well aware of for not using AI-generated work. But as well, AI-generated artwork, in my opinion, lacks the artistic intent of an actual human intelligence creating the work, and it's obvious to the experienced eye. Also, I'm very particular about our characters having the correct number of fingers on each hand and not spaghetti phalanges. So lots to love in that answer too. And really 2 pretty unambiguous no's, do not like it. But we'll come back to that. Like the fingers issue, for example, I think that's actually gotten better in recent iterations of the generators. So things like that, I don't think we can count on as being a block, but I love the general attitude from both of these. All right, art director 3. Besides potential legal issues, I find current AI imagery impressive but unsettling. The corrupted reality in the background of most generated art is really distracting. The only current use I have of generative AI is using Photoshop's generative fill as a better smart eraser. Interesting. I am seeing it creeping into the industry and suspect that there's more that I don't notice. Interesting. I also want to point out that in our last video where we were asking these art directors about portfolios and approach, this was the art director who said, if I had to hire an artist today, anything that looked like Gen AI in the portfolio would be an insta-kill. So I just kind of wanted to attach that to this answer. He is seeing it out there, but he doesn't use it. He only uses it as a smart eraser. Okay, art director 4. I find that AI is most useful as a client alignment tool. If handled properly, it can be very effective to generate raw material very fast and do rounds with a client to hone in on an idea. However, in those situations, I absolutely avoid using AI to show an image that could be interpreted as the thing. Clients tend to fall in love with their demos, and you'd be stuck just copying that AI image ultimately and delivering something very impersonal. So this is an interesting one, and I have actually seen this more than just like a replacement for an artist. I'm actually seeing AI used as a replacement for mood boards, like just to get a quick, vague idea of what we want to do in a big project or campaign, giving them a close-ish look at here's vaguely what we want to do in a quick way, and then an actual artist executes that. But that was interesting how the art director says, we don't want to make that too close, to anything that looks like finished art. Otherwise, that becomes the expectation and things get weird. Very interesting. Art director 5. We don't use AI and refuse to do so. My personal opinion is that it's unethical due to using other artists' work without their consent or training purposes. I hope that legislation comes down to help put an end to that. That's the best answer that I possibly could have hoped for. And this is definitely an art director who is an artist. So I love this. We're 5 in now, and I'm sure it's starting to sound like I am cherry picking or deliberately seeking out good news. And there's definitely going to be some balance to all of this. I think unambiguously positive news about just, no, we don't use AI in production. Even up to this point, by the time I got answers from these 5, I was very encouraged, and I think you should be too. But let's keep going. Art Director 6. At the beginning of the project, as we were putting together a pitch deck, we used AI images. We didn't have the money, time, or ability to create the variety of images that we needed to secure funding. AI images are all over online, so I'm sure we still use some. In production, we are not using them. Again, this sort of feels like the mood board is what AI is being used for here, to kind of do blue sky, very rough collection of a visual style. Now that is still probably, if that company had a higher budget, something that they probably would have hired or contracted a concept artist to do that very initial stuff for. But still, once they had their general look, they do bring in artists to actually do the job. This is more of a mood board thing. Art Director 7, another tough one. AI is coming. It's only going to get better. I don't have an answer other than offering more than art is probably a good start. Are you a good problem solver? A good storyteller? That will help. Be smarter than the person typing the prompt. This is also a good reminder that the more things that we do to bring value to a project, the stronger and more secure our roles will be. I also need to point out that there is a huge caveat to put with the art directors who were included in this survey, is that just by nature, all of these art directors clearly work with artists. Otherwise, I wouldn't know them at all, right? They've hired me at some point, so they clearly use artists and aren't simply using AI. All of the art hiring companies or whatever who would just get rid of artists and use AI, I would never even know them. So there is a little bit of a pro-artist bias in my sample set that I just wanted to point out. So I hope you found that interesting. It seemed like a good 5 out of the 7 were pretty unambiguously against AI. A few firsthand things that I can share about my confrontations with AI at work. Back in 2022, when this was first becoming a thing, I had one regular client who just overnight, they actually said, we don't want to be a video game company anymore. We want to be an AI company. So that did literally just evaporate overnight. So that is one loss that I have to point to. But that was kind of the only one. Everybody else has more or less stayed steady. I mean, not everybody, clients come and go. The nature of a freelancer or a contractor is that jobs sort of start, they come to an end, and then you move on to another one. So we always need to have several things going at once. But that was the only thing that just directly because of AI went away. And that was kind of an outlier. The other thing that I want to point out, that even these art directors who had more wary of where this is going in the future type of answers, a lot of these have actually had specific specifications in their assignments saying do not use AI. I've actually had to sign a few things saying that I won't use AI or I didn't before something is published. Other direct stories that I can share is I did have one thing where I was approached by a company who was sort of subcontracting to another company who wanted to hire an artist to draw and paint a lot of sort of random things in very specific style. And I didn't understand the nature of the project at first, but then they very honestly just said, I'm pretty sure that they want to use this to train an AI model. Are you okay with that? And they were offering a fortune, but I said no, because you're essentially selling your hands at that point if you agree to that. I kind of hate saying this because I know there are a lot of layoffs in our industry that I think are not so much due to AI, but more just massive companies merging and acquiring one another and causing layoffs. But our industry in general is at a pretty low point in terms of jobs, which sucks. Like, people are suffering out there. But just to give a different perspective, I am still very busy as a freelance concept artist and illustrator. Much more importantly, though, because I know there's a perception that established artists are safe and younger, earlier career artists are going to be annihilated. So what's much more important is that artists are still getting hired. I am still in touch with artists who are starting their careers, like now. So even with all these headwinds out there, it's still happening. Like the early career infancy is still happening. So that makes me feel like there's a future. I was surprised at how positive and hopeful a lot of this was. I thought at least several of them would say, yeah, we're probably going to have to switch to AI soon just because the cost is so, it's such an enormous savings. And this is a business after all. Nobody said that. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was encouraging. I think you should be encouraged by this. I'm by no means saying, all clear guys, emergency over, let's just forget about AI altogether. As much as I would like to do that, I do think it's just a topic we're going to have to force ourselves to engage with. But for what it's worth, it's been 2 years and the artpocalypse doesn't quite seem like it has happened yet. So let's all stay tuned. Let's support each other. Let's support all of those causes that advocate for human artists. And I think that's the best we can do. Take care, guys. Hope you found this useful. See ya.